Hey guys, this is your host Eric. Today we are going to watch comedy genre movie called Dead in 1 Week. Spoilers ahead, turn on your subtitle. I greatly appreciate your support. Enjoy the video. William Morrison is a young writer who is depressed and feels like he has nothing to live for. He wants to kill himself and has tried to do so many times without success. He tries hard, but something always gets in the way. He decides to jump off a bridge one night, but he stands on the edge and hesitates. He is startled when a man's voice comes from the shadows and asks him if he can push him. Appalled, William tells him to leave, but the strange man doesn't leave until he gives William his card. Even if William tells him it's okay, no one can help him any longer. William finally jumps once the man is gone, but he fails again. He has landed on a party boat. The next day, William meets with his boss, who tells him to do something else to take his mind off of how bad things are. He shows where the people are. William has saved money by working as a lifeguard at the recreation center, but it's been a year since his last shift, so it doesn't give him much comfort. Since he won't change his attitude and hasn't been coming to work lately, his boss decides he has no choice but to fire him. Now he's out of a job and feeling even worse. When William goes back to his apartment, the walls are full of post-its with details about his plans to kill himself, doodles, and ideas for stories. After finding another letter from a publisher telling him that they didn't want to publish his book, William goes to the bathroom to look for pills, but all the bottles are empty. Next, he puts his head in the oven, but since he hasn't paid his bills, the gas won't work. When night comes, he stays in his apartment and smokes until he remembers the car that the mysterious man gave him. He finally takes it out of his pocket and is surprised to find that the guy isn't a psychologist but an assassin. He sets up a meeting for the next day. William goes to the cafe in the morning. They came to an agreement and met Leslie O'Neill, who doesn't look like much of an assassin because he is old and wears a turtleneck. After yelling at William for being 7 minutes late and judging him based on how he looked, Leslie asks him how he knows William is serious. So William tells him that he tried to kill himself on the bridge for the 7th time. If they count, the 10th screams for help. He had tried to hang himself before, but the lamp broke and he didn't succeed. Gassing, but the car wouldn't start. Drinking and taking pills, but all he would do is throw up. But all he did was lose his power and start walking on the main road. But the car that hit him was an ambulance, which took him to the hospital right away. He has been so close to dying so many times. He wrote a book about it, but no one is going to put it out. Leslie decides to take his case, especially since he needs to meet his quota. So, he hangs out near bridges and cliffs to help people kill them. He gives William a brochure so he can choose how he wants to go. William chooses to get hit by a car while saving a child, but it's too expensive for his budget. He only has $2,000, so he can only get the most basic thing, a quick but painful shot to the head. William agrees to the terms and signs the contract before Leslie tells him that he has to pay up front by transferring the money to the Guild of Assassins account. And if he's still alive at the end of the week, he gets his money back even though he's already dead. Just that, after their meeting is over, Leslie takes the contract to the main office and asks for a gun while looking at the man who was chosen as Hitman of the Year. He's doing so well, Ivan. His list of killings is so long that it doesn't fit on the board. When he gets home in the evening, his wife, Penny, and his birds are happy to see him. Penny tells him about her needlework while they eat a homey dinner together. In the meantime, William moves the money to the guild's account and writes a suicide note that he puts in his pocket. Penny tells Leslie about some cruise options she's been thinking about over breakfast in the morning. But when Leslie says something, she realizes that he broke his promise and won't be retiring this year either. Moments later, as Leslie was following his next victim, he got a call from William. William told Leslie that he had sent the money, but he had some other things to do first. He wants to know when Leslie is going to kill him. Leslie tells him he's busy with a job and hangs up on him. This makes William think of a book idea about a killer who only kills people who want to be killed. He says that Leslie is a smooth spy, but the truth is that he's just an average guy who kills people for money and has normal problems, like arguing with a cop over a parking ticket and then going home to play cards with his wife and friends. Later that day, a publishing company calls William and says they want to meet next week to talk about a possible deal for his book, even though he will be dead by then. William asks that the meeting be set for tomorrow, and the editor agrees, but warns him not to kill himself before the meeting. When the conversation is over, William Rush goes outside to see Leslie, who has been watching him from his car. He tells Leslie about the call from the publisher and asks him if they can put off the assassination for a few more days so he can finish the book deal. First, Leslie says yes, but as soon as William goes back inside, he writes down the name of the restaurant as his next stop. The next day, William meets Ellie Adams, an editor, at the restaurant while she is waiting for her boss. They find out that they both like dark humor, so Ellie calls William. When the chief editor, Bentley, gets there, he shows on the phone what a crayon he is. When they begin to talk about the book, There is a clear difference. Brian wants to write a book called An Idiot's Guide to Suicide and market it as edgy, while Ellie wants to share it as a personal look into the world of suicide to reach out to people who are sad and alone. Brian also wants the book to come out at the same time. As part of the marketing, William kills himself. When Ellie asks William what he wants to tell people, he tries to explain that he doesn't think death is anything to be afraid of and that we all face it, which is a bit comforting. Ellie gets it and feels closer to him because of it, but Brian goes on a rant about how young people talk too much about their problems, like the crayon he is. When Ellie's pen falls to the ground, William bends down to pick it up. Just as a bullet is about to hit him, it hits Brian instead, killing him. It turns out that Leslie is shooting from the window of a nearby building, and when William sees him, he waves his hands to tell him to stop. Leslie doesn't care and fires another shot. This time, though, a waiter walks in front of his target and is hit by the shot. Instead, while William and Ellie hide smoked under the table, Leslie decided that he had enough for the day and went home. Penny can tell as soon as her husband walks in the door that something is bothering him. When she finds out, she does her best to make him feel better. He made a terrible mistake. Then she starts to talk about the other women in her club and how nervous she is about her pillow and needlework not being good enough for their standards, and Leslie does nothing but listen patiently. He gives her comfort. He's worried about the shots he missed earlier, so she's using a toy to test his reflexes. The next day, Ellie goes to William's apartment. She found his address on the manuscript, so she knew where to go. Because she has nothing else to do, she wants to start working on his book. The company gave her a few days off so she could get over the shock of what happened. Still, she doesn't sound too upset. In fact, she seems happy Brian died because he was a crayon and she'll get a higher position because of it. After inviting William to join her and her friends on writing nights, she insists on setting up a schedule to work on his book. But he refuses because he's going to die soon. Ellie keeps pushing, telling him that people could relate to the book and make him feel less alone. So William thinks he has no choice but to tell the truth. After hearing about Leslie, Ellie thinks it's crazy to hire someone to kill themselves, so she has William call Leslie and tell her to stop. A loud ringtone comes from the bedroom and startles them both. When William goes to check, he sees Leslie getting ready to leave through a window. He asks him to stop everything, which makes Leslie angry because he only needs one more kill to meet his goal. So he makes the decision to shoot William right now. Fuck you. Just in time, William shuts the door behind him and rushes back to Ellie, pulling her by the hand out of the building. Leslie goes after them, but as they go down the hill, he misses every shot. When William and Ellie get to the streets, they find a police officer and steal his scooter. After Ellie hits him as they drive away, Leslie tries to stop them, but ends up killing the police officer. Though, he needs to hide the body now. But while he takes care of that, two men from the guild show up and kidnap him. They take him to see their boss Harvey, who yells at him for all the people he killed by accident, especially Brian, who already had a contract on his head and Leslie took him from another assassin's list. Harvey fires Leslie for all of his mistakes and tries to give him a clock as a gift. But Leslie turns it down and leaves after his pleas to stay are ignored. Harvey says that once he's gone, he's become a risk to orders. Ivan to kill. By the time night falls, William and Ellie are drinking wine in a cabin in the woods that once belonged to Ellie's dead parents, right in front of the fire. When William sees the cuts on Ellie's wrist, they start talking about their own attempts at suicide. Ellie tells her that she was dead for 10 seconds during the car crash that killed her parents. That felt like nothing, like a big empty space. On the other hand, when William's parents went out for ice one afternoon, a piano fell off of them and crushed them. His mom died right away, but his dad was still alive for a few minutes, so William thought he would get to hear some powerful last words from his dad. But he died without saying anything, which taught William that life doesn't have a secret meaning. Since there's nothing I can do to make him feel better. Ellie acts like she doesn't mind that they're going to kill themselves. She brings 2 knives and gives one to William as she makes her point. They won't learn what the point of life is by dying. Will William remember these words when he throws away the knife and kisses Ellie? They make out in front of everyone. The city again. Connie can't wait to hear. Leslie is retiring, and she's ready to book a cruise, but Leslie tells her not to get too excited yet because she still has to work. Leslie thinks he isn't very useful and doesn't know who he is. When he says he doesn't want to retire yet, Penny tells him he shouldn't because, even though she's been waiting for this moment for a while, they won't be happy if Leslie doesn't mean it. She also tells him to finish the contract and fill Harvey's out to show that he is still in great shape. Before she left for her club's needlework competition in the morning, Leslie gets a knife from Penny. When he sees Leslie's address on her bank statement, he also leaves the house. So when Ivan breaks in, the only people left in the house are the little birds, but that's enough for him to figure out what to do. William and Ellie eat breakfast together while Ellie shows William where his ideas don't make sense. First choice of death, stopping a child from getting hit by a car. After that, they go for a walk. And when they get back to the cabin a few hours later, Leslie is already there waiting for them. William tries to make it clear. He wants to live right now, but Leslie isn't interested. He needs to finish a job. He raises his gun and is about to shoot William when his phone rings. The first time, he ignores it, but it keeps going, so he has to pick it up. Penny is calling to tell him that someone broke into their house and killed their birds. This makes Leslie very scared. And when he finally gets over it and tries to kill William again, Ivan comes into the house and shoots him right then and there. William and Ellie think Ivan came to help, but then he points his gun at them and gives William Leslie's gun, telling him to shoot himself or he'll kill Ellie. The plan is to make it look like William killed Leslie and then himself, but Ellie points out that he would need Ivan's gun, not Leslie's, to make that happen. After telling Ellie that he hasn't thought about killing himself since he met her, Ivan trades guns with a man. William puts the gun in his mouth so that he is ready. Leslie saves him just in time when she stands up and stabs Ivan to death with a knife. Penny gave him a gift, and then she hit him over and over in the head for killing his birds. Wow, knife. Who is Jason? Ivan's shot just missed his ear. Even so, Leslie still insists that she has to kill William. Ellie grabs the second gun, points it at him, and tells him to stop. But Leslie tells them that he can't because he needs one more kill to feel satisfied. Then Ellie gets an idea. They can make a new contract that says they hired Leslie to kill Ivan and gave him the money as payment. William had already moved on to the next life. Leslie agrees, and William writes the contract on his suicide note. Since William won't need it anymore, the three of them throw Ivan's body in the river before going back to the city. As soon as Leslie gets to his house, Penny runs to give him a hug because she was worried about him. She then tells him that she won first place for her needle, which is very exciting. Soon, they're sitting down to dinner together. Harvey is at the door when the doorbell rings. He wants to know why Ivan is dead, but William isn't. Leslie shows him the new contract and tells him about the money, which means he's met his goal. This starts a fight about whether or not Leslie is retired and whether or not he can even take or finish contracts. In the end, both men point their guns at each other under the table. Penny comes back to show Harvey the cushion and stops them from getting into a fight. The design is of a pair of birds who make a commitment to each other and grow old together. When one of them dies, the other usually dies soon after. She thinks it's very sweet that they need each other. And Leslie doesn't stop when she hears these words. Harvey Broad and Penny from taking the clock and talking about the cruise they will go on in the future. Leslie has finally decided to retire, so Harvey says his last goodbyes and leaves to give Penny some space. She needs to tell Leslie that she doesn't feel bad about what she did. She knows Leslie loves his job, but she thinks he's a lot more than that. Leslie tells her that he would be lost without her. After many days, William and Ellie are walking through the park together. Ellie tells him that the people in charge liked his book about a killer and that it will be published soon. William tells her that living isn't so bad and kisses her. But a second later, he sees a kid running into the street to get his ball. Without thinking, he runs to the kid and pushes him out of the way, which causes a car to hit him. Ellie rushes to his side after asking people to call an ambulance. William asks her to lay down with him as people around them clap. William calls just when it's best. Then the movie is over. We really appreciate you watching. If you enjoy this video, please give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel with the notification bell because it is really important for us. Thank you.